Jake Morrison looked out the window of the space station and saw something that made his heart race. A massive ship was coming toward Earth, but it looked nothing like the spaceships humans had built. This ship seemed alive. It had curves that glowed with blue and green lights, like veins running through a giant creature's body. Jake was the captain of the Earth Defense Station. He had spent 15 years in space, protecting Earth from asteroids and space debris. But he had never seen anything like this before. The ship was 3 times larger than any human vessel, and it moved in a way that seemed impossible. "Admiral Stone to the bridge," came a voice over the intercom. Lisa Stone was the highest-ranking military officer on Earth. She was tough, smart, and had never backed down from a fight. Jake had served under her for 10 years and respected her more than anyone else. Lisa arrived on the bridge within minutes. She was a tall woman with gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. When she saw the alien ship on the main screen, her face remained calm, but Jake could see her hands tighten into fists. "How many ships are there?" she asked. "3 confirmed." "Admiral," said Ryan Blake, the station's science officer. Ryan was young, maybe 30 years old, but he knew more about space and alien life than anyone else on the station. "They're sending us a message." The main screen flickered, and suddenly they were looking at 3 very different alien faces. The first was tall and made of what looked like living crystal. Its voice sounded like wind chimes when it spoke. The second looked like a giant insect with multiple eyes and clicking mandibles. The third was blue and wet, like a fish that had learned to walk. "People of Earth," said the crystal being, "we are representatives of the Galactic Council. We come with an important message." Jake felt his mouth go dry. First contact with alien life. This was the moment humans had dreamed about for centuries. But something about the alien's tone made him nervous. "We know about your species," continued the crystal alien. "We have watched you for many years. We have studied your history, your wars, your expansion into space. We have come to warn you." Admiral Stone stepped forward. "Warn us about what?" "About yourselves," said the insect alien, its voice buzzing like a swarm of bees. "Your species is dangerous, more dangerous than you understand." Ryan Blake moved closer to his console. "Admiral, I'm detecting massive energy signatures from their ships. Their technology is far beyond ours." The fish-like alien spoke next. Its voice was wet and gurgling. "We have seen species like yours before. They start peaceful, like you. They explore, they learn, they grow. But they always become something terrible." "What do you mean?" asked Jake. "You adapt too quickly," said the crystal being. "When other species face a problem, they accept it or find a simple solution. Humans fight until they win. When other species are defeated, they surrender. Humans find new ways to fight. This makes you very dangerous." Admiral Stone's voice was steady and strong. "We are explorers and scientists. We seek knowledge and friendship with other species." The insect alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "That is what they all say. But we have studied your history. You are a species of warriors. Every problem you face, you solve with violence. Every challenge makes you stronger. Look at your own planet," said the fish alien. "You have fought each other for thousands of years. You have built weapons that can destroy your entire world. Now you are spreading to other planets. Soon you will spread to other star systems." The crystal alien's voice became more serious. "We cannot allow this. The galaxy is peaceful now. Many species live in harmony. But species like yours always upset this balance. You become apex predators. You conquer and destroy until nothing can stop you." Jake felt anger rising in his chest. "You don't know us. We've learned from our mistakes. We want peace." "Perhaps," said the insect alien. "But can you guarantee that every human will want peace? Can you promise that your species will never choose war when peace becomes difficult? The question hung in the air. Jake thought about Earth's history, the wars, the conflicts, the times when humans had chosen violence over peace. He wanted to argue, but he couldn't find the words. "We offer you a choice," said the crystal alien. "Stay in your solar system. Do not travel to other stars. Do not expand beyond the planets you already inhabit. Accept our guidance and supervision. In return, we will share some of our technology and knowledge. And if we refuse?" asked Admiral Stone. "Then we will contain you by force," said the fish alien. "This is not a negotiation. This is mercy. We could destroy your species now, but we prefer to give you a chance." The three aliens looked at each other, then back at the humans. "You have one standard galactic rotation to decide. We will place monitoring stations at the edge of your solar system. Any attempt to leave will be considered an act of aggression." The screen went black. The alien ships began to move away, but Jake could see smaller vessels breaking off and heading toward the outer planets. The monitoring stations were being deployed already. Admiral Stone was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to Jake and Ryan. "Contact Earth Command. Emergency protocols are now in effect. Every world leader needs to know what just happened." Jake began sending the messages, but his mind was racing. The aliens were afraid of humans. They thought humanity was so dangerous that they needed to be locked in their own solar system, like animals in a cage. Maybe the aliens were right. Maybe. Humans were more dangerous than they wanted to admit. But Jake knew one thing for certain. Humans had never been good at staying caged. Throughout history, whenever someone tried to contain humanity, humans found a way to break free. As the alien ships disappeared into the darkness of space, Jake wondered if this warning would be the beginning of peace or the start of the greatest war humanity had ever fought. 6 months had passed since the aliens gave their warning. Dr. Amanda Price wiped sweat from her forehead as she made the final adjustments to the new engine. She was working in the engine room of the New Horizon, a research ship that was humanity's best hope for faster-than-light travel. Amanda was one of Earth's smartest scientists. She had spent her whole life studying physics and space travel. For the past year, she had been working on something that most people thought was impossible. A way to travel faster than light without using alien technology. The alien monitoring stations watched every move humans made in space. They had advanced sensors that could detect any attempt to leave the solar system using conventional rockets. But Amanda's new drive was different. Instead of folding space like the aliens did, it would tear a hole right through it. "Are you sure this will work?" asked Captain Ben Carter, the ship's commander. Ben was a good pilot, but he didn't understand the science behind the new engine. "It should work," Amanda said, though she didn't sound completely confident. "The calculations are correct. We're not bending space like the aliens do. We're forcing our way through it." The New Horizon was far from Earth, hidden behind one of Jupiter's moons. If the test failed, at least the explosion wouldn't hurt anyone. If it succeeded, humanity would have taken its first step toward the stars since the aliens arrived. Amanda activated the engine. The ship shook violently, and strange lights filled the engine room. Then, suddenly, everything went quiet. Amanda looked at her instruments and smiled. "We did it. We're in hyperspace." The journey to Proxima Centauri took only hours instead of years. When they dropped back into normal space, Amanda and Ben stared at the red dwarf star in amazement. They had traveled further from Earth than any human in history. "Take us home," Amanda said. "We need to tell everyone what we've accomplished." But when the New Horizon returned to Earth's solar system, they found chaos. Massive alien warships surrounded Earth, their weapons pointed at the planet. and monitoring stations had detected the hyperspace jump immediately. "Admiral," Stone's voice crackled over the radio from the hidden command bunker. "Amanda, Ben, stay away from Earth. The aliens arrived an hour ago with a fleet. They're demanding our surrender." On Earth, President Kevin Walsh sat in the underground command center in Colorado. The bunker was built deep in the mountains, designed to survive nuclear war. Now it was humanity's last hope against an alien invasion. The main screen showed the alien fleet commander, a large insect-like creature with multiple arms and cold black eyes. "I am Fleet Commander Zixahal of the Calyx Dominion," it said. "Your species has violated galactic law by traveling beyond your solar system." "We sent one small research ship," President Walsh replied. "That hardly seems like an invasion." "The terms were clear," Zixahal said. "Any attempt to leave your solar system would be considered an act of aggression. You have proven that your species cannot be trusted to contain itself." President Walsh looked around the bunker at his advisors and military commanders. These were the smartest and bravest people on Earth, but they all looked scared. The alien ships were too powerful, their technology too advanced. "What do you want?" the president asked. "Total surrender," Zixahal replied. "Your military will be dismantled. Your space program will be terminated. Every human will undergo neural modification to remove aggressive tendencies. Your species will serve the Galactic Council in whatever capacity we determine." The room was silent. Neural modification meant changing human brains, making them different, docile. It would be the end of humanity as they knew it. "And if we refuse?" President Walsh asked. "Then your species will be extinct within 1 week," Zixahal said without emotion. "We have weapons that can sterilize your entire planet. Choose quickly." The transmission ended. President Walsh looked at Admiral Stone, who had arrived at the bunker during the night. "What are our options, Lisa?" Admiral Stone studied the tactical displays. "Honestly, sir, we can't win a direct fight. Their ships are too advanced, and they outnumber us 50-1. But we might be able to make them pay a heavy price." "What do you mean?" "Humans don't fight like other species," she said. "We've studied the alien broadcasts for months. Their previous conquests were quick and clean because other species surrendered when they realized they couldn't win. But humans ... we fight differently." President Walsh understood. Throughout human history, people had fought impossible battles against overwhelming odds. Sometimes they lost, but they always made their enemies pay. That night, President Walsh addressed the world. Every television, radio, and internet connection carried his message to 7 billion people. "My fellow humans," he began, "we face a choice between slavery and death. The aliens offer to change our brains, to make us their servants. They promise to let us live if we give up everything that makes us human." He paused, looking directly into the camera. "But there is a third option. We can fight. We can show these aliens that humans do not surrender, do not submit, and do not bow to anyone." The response was immediate. Across Earth, people began preparing for war. Military bases activated emergency protocols. Civilians built shelters and stockpiled supplies. Scientists like Amanda Price began developing new weapons using the alien technology they had studied. The first battle happened near Earth's moon. Captain Nicole Carter led a small fleet of human ships against the alien vanguard. Her ships were outgunned and outnumbered, but Nicole had studied human naval history. She knew that sometimes the smaller force could win through tactics and courage. Aliens expected the humans to fight like other species, maintaining formation, following protocols, retreating when damaged. Instead, Nicole ordered her ships to attack in unpredictable patterns. When the destroyer Valiant was badly damaged, its captain didn't retreat. He aimed his ship at the largest alien vessel and accelerated to maximum speed. The kamikaze attack shocked the alien commanders. No species in their experience had ever used their own ships as weapons. The collision destroyed both vessels, but it also created confusion in the alien ranks. Nicole pressed the advantage, ordering her remaining ships to target the confused alien formation. For 30 minutes, the small human fleet held its own against superior numbers. When reinforcements arrived, Nicole's ships were forced to retreat, but they had accomplished something important. The aliens had expected an easy victory. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to follow the rules of civilized warfare. As reports of the battle spread throughout the alien fleet, a troubling question began to emerge. If humans fought this hard when they were hopelessly outmatched, what would they do when they had nothing left to lose? The siege of Earth lasted exactly 14 days. On the 15th day, something strange happened. All human radio broadcasts stopped. The cities went dark. The military bases fell silent. From space, Earth looked like a dead planet. Colonel Daniel. Haze crawled through the tunnel that connected the Denver underground complex to the Colorado mountain bunkers. The tunnel was one of thousands that humans had built in secret over the past 6 months. While the aliens watched the surface, humanity had gone underground. Daniel was a career soldier, 45 years old, with gray hair and scars from 3 different wars. He had fought in deserts, jungles, and cities, but he had never fought an enemy like this. The aliens had superior technology and overwhelming numbers, but they had one weakness. They fought like conquerors, not like guerrilla fighters. "Report," Daniel said as he entered the main command room. Lieutenant Amy Rodriguez looked up from her computer terminal. Amy was young, maybe 28, but she was one of the best tactical minds Daniel had ever worked with. "The aliens have landed ground forces in 50 major cities," she said. "They're finding empty buildings and abandoned equipment, just like we planned." The evacuation had been humanity's greatest achievement. In 2 weeks, 7 billion people had disappeared. Underground. Every major city had tunnel systems that led to hidden bunkers in mountains, caves, and deep basements. The aliens controlled the surface, but humans owned everything below ground. "What about resistance activities?" Daniel asked. "Successful across all sectors," Amy replied with a smile. "The aliens expected us to defend fixed positions. Instead, we're hitting them where they don't expect it." Dr. Jonathan Miller entered the command room carrying a metal briefcase. Jonathan was a biochemist who had worked for the military for 15 years. Before the invasion, he had studied diseases and vaccines. Now he studied alien biology. "I have good news and bad news," Jonathan said. "The good news is that alien physiology is very different from human physiology. The bad news is that this makes them vulnerable to things they never expected." Jonathan opened his briefcase and showed Daniel several small devices. "These are biological agents specifically designed to target alien nervous systems. They won't hurt humans, but they'll cause the aliens to become confused and disoriented." "Is that legal?" Daniel asked. "Biological weapons are banned by international law." "International law assumes we're fighting other humans," Jonathan replied. "These aliens want to change our brains and make us their slaves. I think we can bend the rules a little." Daniel nodded. In normal wars, there were rules about how to fight. But this wasn't a normal war. This was a fight for the survival of human independence. Above ground, the alien forces were discovering that conquering Earth was much harder than they had expected. Every building they searched was empty. Every computer they accessed had been wiped clean. Every piece of equipment they found had been sabotaged. Worse, humans kept appearing from nowhere to attack alien patrols. A squad of alien soldiers would be walking through an empty city when suddenly humans would emerge from sewers, basements, and hidden passages. The attacks were quick and brutal. Then the humans would disappear again before reinforcements could. Arrived. The aliens had never faced this kind of warfare. In their previous conquests, they would defeat the enemy military, occupy the government centers, and declare victory. The defeated species would surrender and accept alien rule. But humans didn't seem to understand that they had been defeated. Captain Nicole Carter had survived the battle near Earth's moon and was now leading raids against alien supply ships. Her new command was a captured alien vessel that human engineers had modified with Earth technology. The ship looked alien from the outside, but it fought like a human warship. "Target the cargo bay," Nicole ordered as her ship approached an alien supply convoy. "We need those power cores." The attack was swift and precise. Nicole's ship disabled the alien freighter's engines, boarded it, and stripped it of useful technology before the escort ships could respond. By the time alien reinforcements arrived, the human raiders were gone. In his underground laboratory, Dr. Amanda Price was studying the captured alien technology. What she found excited and terrified her. The alien power systems were incredibly advanced, but they weren't designed for warfare. They were designed for exploration and trade. These aliens have been peaceful for so long that they've forgotten how to fight dirty, Amanda told Daniel during one of his visits to the research facility. Their weapons are powerful, but they're not creative. They're built to win clean victories against opponents who follow the same rules. "What about their ships?" Daniel asked. "Same problem," Amanda replied. "Their ships are fast and powerful, but they're not designed for the kind of fighting we're doing. Look at this." She showed him technical diagrams of alien vessels. Their ships have massive engines and powerful shields, but their armor is weak in several places. They never expected anyone to ram them or use suicide attacks. Daniel studied the diagrams. "Can we build ships that exploit these weaknesses?" "We're already doing it," Amanda said with a grin. "We've captured 12 alien vessels in the past month. Our engineers are stripping out their weapons and replacing them with human-designed systems. We're keeping their engines and adding our tactics." The first hybrid human-alien warship was ready 3 months after the invasion began. The ship looked like an alien cruiser, but it fought like a human destroyer. It could take massive damage and keep fighting. Its weapons were designed not just to destroy enemy ships, but to cause maximum psychological impact. Sergeant Amy Rodriguez led the first major ground assault using captured alien equipment. Her team had studied alien tactics for months and learned their weaknesses. The aliens expected humans to attack in organized formations using conventional weapons. Instead, Amy's team used stealth, surprise, and psychological warfare. "Remember," Amy told her soldiers before the attack, "we're not just trying to win battles. We're trying to make them afraid of us." The assault on the Alien Command Center in New York was a masterpiece of irregular warfare. Amy's team used alien technology to jam enemy communications, then attacked from 6 different directions simultaneously. They used smoke, noise, and confusion to make their small force seem much larger. When the aliens called for reinforcements, they found that their communication systems had been infiltrated. False orders sent alien units to the wrong locations. Friendly fire incidents increased as alien forces became paranoid and began shooting at anything that moved. Most importantly, Amy's team made sure to capture alien prisoners, not to harm them, but to treat them well. The captured aliens were given food, medical care, and comfortable quarters. Videos of the well-treated prisoners were broadcast on alien communication networks. The message was clear. Humans could be merciful to those who surrendered, but they would never stop fighting those who sought to enslave them. As the months passed, the alien forces began to realize that they weren't fighting a conventional war. They were fighting a species that had spent thousands of years perfecting The Art of Asymmetric Warfare. Every time the aliens adapted to human tactics, humans developed new ones. The galaxy's most advanced military forces were being outfought by a species that had supposedly been contained. What the aliens thought was humanity's defeat had actually been their greatest strategic withdrawal in history. Admiral Lisa Stone stood in the command center, hidden deep beneath Saturn's moon Titan, watching displays that showed human ships throughout the galaxy. For 8 months, the aliens had believed they were winning the war on Earth. They controlled the surface of the planet and had set up occupation forces in major cities. But they had no idea that humans had been using that time to build something extraordinary. Humanity's first true interstellar fleet. "Status report," Lisa said to Captain Eric Lawson, her newest fleet commander. Eric was 35 years old, a former test pilot who had proven himself during the early resistance battles. He had been chosen to lead humanity's first deep space raids. 18 ships ready for combat operations, Eric reported. All vessels are hybrid designs using captured alien technology and human engineering. Our crews have trained for 6 months, using alien prisoners as instructors. Lisa smiled. The alien prisoners had been very helpful, though they didn't realize it. Humans had convinced many of them that cooperation would help end the war peacefully. The aliens had shared technical manuals, tactical procedures, and communication protocols, thinking they were helping to prevent further violence. What about intelligence? Lisa asked. Dr. Rebecca Martinez stepped forward with a thick folder of reports. Rebecca was humanity's chief intelligence officer, a former CIA analyst who had spent her career studying foreign governments. Now she studied alien civilizations. "We have complete maps of Calyx space and partial maps of Zephyrian and Aquarian territories," Rebecca said. "More importantly, we've identified critical vulnerabilities in their supply lines and communication." Networks. Rebecca opened her folder and showed Lisa detailed charts of alien space. The Calyx Dominion controls the military operations, but they depend heavily on Zephyrian technology and Aquarian logistics. If we can disrupt their cooperation, their entire war effort will collapse. What about their psychology? Lisa asked. Can we predict how they'll respond to our attacks? That's the interesting part, Rebecca replied. Each alien species evolved differently. The Calyx are apex predators who became dominant through overwhelming force. They don't understand enemies, who get stronger when attacked. The Zephyrians are herd animals who achieved safety through cooperation. They panic when their group is threatened. The Aquarians are territorial, but not aggressive. They can be negotiated with if we approach them correctly. Eric studied the intelligence reports. So we're not fighting one enemy. We're fighting 3 different species who are working together. Exactly, Rebecca said. And that's their weakness. Humans evolved as persistence hunters. We succeeded by chasing prey until it became exhausted. We're uniquely suited to fight long campaigns against multiple opponents. The first human raid struck a Calyx supply depot in the Vega system. Eric led 3 ships in a surprise attack that demonstrated everything the aliens had failed to understand about human warfare. The human ships didn't try to destroy the depot. Instead, they captured it intact, downloaded all its data, and disappeared before reinforcements arrived. The stolen data revealed the locations of 50 more supply depots throughout Calyx space. Within 2 weeks, human raiders had hit half of them. The attacks weren't random violence. They were surgical strikes designed to maximize disruption while minimizing casualties. Captain Ben Carter led the second wave of raids, targeting communication relays in Zephyrian space. Ben's ships carried a new weapon that Dr. Jonathan Miller had developed, a computer virus specifically designed to infect alien technology. Remember, Ben told his crews before the attack, we're not trying to destroy their equipment. We want to turn it against them. The virus was a masterpiece of psychological warfare. It didn't damage alien computers. Instead, it made them display false information. Ship sensors showed enemy contacts that didn't exist. Navigation systems provided incorrect coordinates. Communication networks broadcast contradictory orders. The psychological impact was devastating. Zephyrian crews began reporting phantom enemies everywhere. Fleet commanders received reports that made no sense. Civilian populations panicked as their information networks became unreliable. But the most effective human weapon wasn't technology. It was propaganda. Amy Rodriguez had been promoted to major and now led a team of specialists in psychological operations. Her mission was to convince the alien alliance that humans were reasonable people who wanted peace, not conquest. The key, Amy explained to her team, is to make them believe that we're fighting for survival, not expansion. We need them to understand that we'll stop fighting as soon as they stop trying to enslave us. Human communication networks began broadcasting throughout alien space. The messages were simple and clear. We don't want your planets. We don't want your resources. We just want to be left alone. The broadcasts included videos of captured alien prisoners being treated well. They showed human cities before the invasion, with parks and schools and families. They demonstrated that humans were capable of both great violence and great compassion. Most importantly, the messages were broadcast in each alien species' native language and included cultural references that showed humans had taken time to understand alien societies. The Aquarians were the first to respond. A delegation of their ships approached human forces near Jupiter, broadcasting messages of interest in negotiation. The Aquarians had never wanted war. They had joined the alliance because they feared being conquered if they refused. Dr. Rebecca Martinez led the negotiations with the Aquarians. The meetings took place on a neutral space station in the asteroid belt, with both sides bringing minimal security forces. "Why are you fighting us?" asked the lead Aquarian diplomat, a blue-skinned amphibian named Glubber. "Our intelligence reports say that humans are aggressive and expansionist." "Your intelligence reports are wrong," Rebecca replied. "Humans can be aggressive when threatened, but we prefer trade and cooperation. We only fight when someone tries to take our freedom." Glubber seemed confused. "But the Calyx say that all human colonies must be destroyed because humans will eventually become conquerors." "The Calyx are thinking like conquerors themselves," Rebecca said. "They assume that every species wants to dominate others because that's what they want. But humans learned long ago that cooperation is more profitable than conquest." The negotiations continued for weeks. Slowly, the Aquarians began to understand that humans weren't the monsters the Calyx had described. When the Aquarians announced their withdrawal from the Alliance, it sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The Zephyrians were next. Their herd mentality made them susceptible to doubt when their group began to fracture. Secret negotiations began between human agents and Zephyrian moderates, who questioned whether the war was worth the growing casualties. But the Calyx became more determined as their allies began to waver. Fleet Commander Zixhahal announced that the Calyx would continue fighting until every human was dead or enslaved. The Calyx had built their entire civilization around the idea that they were the galaxy's apex predators. The idea that humans might be better fighters was unacceptable. As the alien alliance crumbled, human fleets became bolder. Captain Nicole Carter led a raid deep into Calyx space, striking at military installations that the aliens thought were impregnable. Eric Lawson's ships began appearing throughout the galaxy, hitting targets with precision that showed humans had completely infiltrated alien intelligence networks. The aliens realized, too late, that they had underestimated their enemy. Humans weren't just good at fighting, they were good at learning. Every battle taught them something new about alien tactics, technology, and psychology. The galaxy's former apex predators were discovering what it felt like to be hunted by something more dangerous than themselves. 2 years after the first alien warning, Admiral Lisa Stone stood on the bridge of the human dreadnought Defiance, preparing for the final battle of the war. The massive ship was humanity's crowning achievement, a vessel that combined the best of alien technology with human engineering and tactical thinking. "All fleets report ready," said Captain Jake Morrison, who now served as Lisa's fleet coordinator. Jake had come far since that first day when the aliens arrived at Earth. He had learned to think like a strategist instead of just a defender. The human fleet was positioned around the Calyx homeworld, but this wasn't an invasion. The Aquarians and Zephyrians had already surrendered and requested human protection from Calyx retaliation. Only the Calyx remained committed to humanity's destruction, and their leader had retreated to their home system for a final stand. "Remember," Lisa said over the fleet communication system, "we're not here to destroy their planet or kill their civilians. We're here to end this war and prove that humans can be trusted with power." Dr. Rebecca Martinez sat at the intelligence station, monitoring communications throughout the galaxy. In the past 6 months, she had become humanity's most effective diplomat. Her negotiations had convinced dozens of alien species to stay neutral, or even support the human cause. "Admiral," Rebecca said, "I'm receiving messages from 17 different species asking to send observers to this battle. They want to see how humans conduct warfare when they have the advantage." Lisa nodded. This battle would determine humanity's reputation in the galaxy for generations to come. If humans fought like conquerors, they would be feared and hated. If they fought with restraint and honor, they might be respected and trusted. The Calyx fleet emerged from behind their planet's moon. There were over 200 ships, the largest military force the Calyx had ever assembled. Fleet Commander Zixhal's flagship, a massive vessel called the Dominion, led the formation. "Human fleet," Zixhal broadcast, "you have violated sacred Calyx space. Withdraw immediately or face total annihilation." Lisa opened a communication channel. "Commander Zixhal, this war has already been decided. Your allies have abandoned you. Your supply lines have been cut. Your communication networks have been compromised. Surrender now, and your people will be treated with honor." "Never," Zixhal replied. "The Calyx bow to no one. We are the apex predators of this galaxy." "No," Lisa said quietly. "You were." The battle began with the Calyx fleet charging forward in a massive formation, just as they had done for thousands of years. Their tactics had worked against every other species they had fought. Overwhelming force, directed at the enemy's strongest point, had always brought quick victory, but humans didn't fight like other species. Captain Eric Lawson led the first human response. Instead of meeting the Calyx charge head-on, his ships scattered in all directions, forcing the Calyx to split their formation. The human ships were faster and more maneuverable than the heavy Calyx warships. "Execute Pattern Omega," Lisa ordered. The human fleet began a complex dance around the Calyx formation. Ships appeared and disappeared, striking at weak points before vanishing again. The pattern looked chaotic, but it was actually carefully choreographed to exploit every weakness in Calyx tactics. Captain Nicole Carter led a squadron of hybrid ships against the Calyx left flank. Her ships had been modified with alien technology, but they fought with human unpredictability. When the Calyx responded to her attack, they found that her ships weren't where they expected them to be. Major Amy Rodriguez commanded the boarding actions. Her teams had studied Calyx ship designs for months and knew exactly where to strike. Instead of trying to destroy enemy vessels, they captured them, turning Calyx weapons against the Calyx fleet. Dr. Jonathan Miller's computer viruses spread through the Calyx network, causing confusion and panic. Enemy ships began receiving Contradictory orders. Some Calyx vessels started, firing on their own allies as their targeting systems were compromised. But the most devastating human weapon was something the Calyx had never encountered: restraint. When Calyx ships surrendered, humans accepted their surrender and protected them from retaliation. When civilian vessels tried to flee the battle, humans escorted them to safety instead of destroying them. When Calyx crew members abandoned their ships, humans rescued them from space. The psychological impact was overwhelming. The Calyx had built their entire culture around the idea that might makes right. They expected humans to be brutal conquerors, because that's what the Calyx would have been in the same situation. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that was both more powerful and more merciful than they were. Commander Patricia Webb led the final assault on the Dominion. Patricia was a former Marine who had earned her rank through valor and tactical brilliance. Her mission was to capture Zixahal alive and end the war with minimal casualties. The boarding action was swift and precise. Patricia's teams disabled the Dominion's weapons and life support systems without killing any of the crew. When they reached the bridge, they found Zixahal standing alone, his compound eyes wide with shock. "How?" Zixahal asked. "How did a species like yours become so powerful?" Patricia removed her helmet and looked the alien commander in the eyes. "Because we learned something you never did. True strength isn't about being the biggest predator. It's about knowing when not to use your power." The war ended not with a massive explosion or a dramatic surrender ceremony, but with a quiet conversation. In the Dominion's conference room, Zixahal, surrounded by human officers who treated him with respect despite everything he had done, finally understood what his species had been fighting. "You could have destroyed our planet," Zixahal said to Admiral Stone. "You could have killed all of us." "Yes," Lisa replied. "But what would that have accomplished? Dead enemies can't become friends." Dr. Amanda Price, now serving as Humanities Chief Science Advisor, presented the terms of the peace agreement. "The Calyx military will be reduced, but not eliminated. Your colonies will remain under your control. Your civilians will not be harmed or relocated. In exchange, you will join the Terra Accord and contribute to galactic peace." "What is the Terra Accord?" Zixahal asked. Rebecca Martinez stepped forward with a smile. "It's humanity's proposal for galactic government. Instead of one species dominating others, we create a system where all species contribute their strengths for mutual benefit." Within months of the war's end, the Terra Accord had 30 member species. The Aquarians contributed their logistics expertise. The Zephyrians shared their crystalline technology. Even some Calyx colonies requested membership, attracted by the promise of protection and prosperity. Dr. Amanda Price's final report to the human leadership summarized what had happened. The aliens were right to fear us, but wrong about why. They thought we would become apex predators who dominated through force. Instead, we became apex protectors who lead through example. Captain Jake Morrison, now an admiral himself, established the first Terra Accord patrol fleet. Its mission was not to conquer new worlds, but to protect member species from threats and help resolve conflicts peacefully. The galaxy learned that humanity's most dangerous trait wasn't their capacity for violence, but their ability to inspire others to be better than they thought possible. Species that had been enemies for centuries began working together under human leadership. Years later, when new species asked why humans were trusted to lead the Terra Accord, the answer was always the same: because they proved that the strong can choose to protect the weak instead of exploiting them. The warning had been clear. Humanity was too dangerous to be allowed freedom among the stars. The galaxy discovered that some species become most dangerous not when they're caged, but when they're forced to prove they deserve their liberty. In the end, the aliens had been right about one thing: humans were apex predators. But they had evolved into something the galaxy had never seen before. Apex predators, who chose to use their power to create rather than destroy. The most lethal species in the galaxy had become its greatest hope for peace.